Genshin Impact was a game full of promise. It was said it would shake the industry and raise mobile games to heights never seen. It brought an anime style to a massive open world with deep lore and fun combat mechanics. It won award after award, brought people together from all around the world, and kickstarted whole careers. It was casual enough for non-gamers to enjoy, but it also had tough challenges for those who wanted them. Almost 4 years ago, I used to be obsessed with it. I played for hours, researched every bit of lore, and I loved all the art on Rule 34. But nowadays, I can't stand all things Genshin. All the promise it once had is lost. And nowadays, it has a very bad reputation, but many who stopped playing still had a desire for a story-rich anime RPG. So when Wuthering Waves released, we got pumped, and many called it the Genshin killer. But exploring the world felt off, soulless and boring, unlike the excitement we once felt when exploring Teyvat for the very first time. The developers were incredibly generous, but WoA felt just like a copy of the game that came before. Eventually, not long after starting to play, I uninstalled the game. But this boredom stayed in my mind rent-free. It was the same boredom I felt during my last weeks playing Genshin, Honkai Star Rail, Fate Go and Azur Lane. The kind of boredom that makes you spam the spacebar to skip the dialogue, rush through quests just to get the rewards, and that makes you forget to claim your dailies. The fact I felt bored in other gachas meant it wasn't just a Wuthering Waves problem. I call it TGGE. No, silly viewer. It doesn't stand for Thick Goth Girlfriend Experience, but the Great Gacha Exhaustion. Great not because it's really cool, but because it's not limited to a single gacha game. TGGE is a feeling of extreme boredom, to the point that it hurts your gacha gaming experience. The problem lies in the game design of gachas themselves, so it's not fixed by just playing another thing. The Great Gacha Exhaustion causes you to completely stop caring. The epic story Genshin told about a vagabond fighting gods and an evil organization is not as exciting as it once was. The absolutely stunning animations that made you go absolute cinema are really nice, but simply having pretty things on screen doesn't make a fun game if the content feels hollow. Because of the normie focused gameplay, the combat feels too easy. The enemies that once made you feel so scared you tried to completely avoid them are now just annoyances. The endgame that's supposed to give players a challenge leaves you numb because it's the same enemies as always, but they just do more damage and have a health bar longer than the time it takes Morgoth to do a cane attack. The quests that explore the lore of the world unrelated to the main story that once made the environment so vibrant are now just speedruns to get rewards. Of course, only if the rewards are good enough. Most quests are forgotten in the quest list. You don't even bother to clean the list up by completing everything. You know it'll be a pain to go through all that text. All kinds of dialogue, voiced or not, is welcomed with the sweet orchestra of the spamming of the spacebar. Doing dailies was once a part of your routine, but now you dread doing them, and some days you forget to log in at all. Eventually, the joy you felt while playing is completely gone and you stop. You think that this is a Genshin problem, so you try other games, but soon you see the boredom has carried over, like dog poop liquefying under the summer sun, filling the cracks in the pavement. Honkai Star Rail's story is interesting, but there's too much talking. Zenless Zone Zero has really unique animation, but the world feels claustrophobic compared to Genshin's. Azur Lane has no gameplay or story at all. Fate Go is Fate Go, and WoA feels too much like a Genshin copy. But why? Why can't you find joy in gacha games anymore like you did with Genshin? Gachas are not inherently boring, but they follow a really bad formula. A formula that Genshin didn't create, but that it really drove to the extremes, showing everyone how awfully it works. Show don't tell is something Genshin often forgets. In many scenes, there is too much exposition. That is then repeated right after by Paimon to make sure you really got it. Sometimes entire events that would be really cool as cutscenes are replaced by white text on a black background. This only gets you out of the experience. Gachas are infamous for having their own vocabulary, like a philosopher who thinks they're really cool by using all these words no one would hear in day-to-day life. You are introduced to a dozen terms at once and expected to understand them, while the devs had months or or years to develop those ideas. To this day, I still don't know what in Cantarella's now censored camel toe is a sonorosphere. The main selling point of gachas are characters, so more characters mean more money, but the more characters your story has, the harder it is to keep track of them. Old characters are completely forgotten and replaced with newer, more OP and cooler characters, who'll meet the same fate soon enough. The older characters you got invested in only appear, if you're lucky, as shallow NPCs on limited events. Many of these games are designed for casual gamers to enjoy too. Normal enemies therefore don't pose a real threat and become quickly annoying to deal with. This extends to puzzles, events and quests that often offer baby-level, shape-sorting toys masked as challenges. The devs eventually get so excited with graphics, animations and VFX that you struggle to see what's happening on screen in normal battles. These are really basic mistakes in storytelling and game design that all gacha games make. Genshin didn't create them, but it cranked them up so much that it exposed those flaws in other games. Years of prolonged game design mistakes, controversies, bad quality of life features and fanbase neglect made the fans really bitter, and eventually many stopped playing only to feel extremely disappointed when they tried other gacha games and realized they followed the same exhausting formula. It seems by making gamers exhausted of playing any gacha game, they prevented them from playing any of their competitors. And in the process, they alienated many of their own fans. That's where this video would have ended if I had released it a few months ago. However, after months of resisting playing ZZZ, I eventually gave in. Unsurprisingly, I was bored through the whole thing, but I felt something unexpected. The more I played ZZZ, the more it made me miss WoWa. So, I uninstalled it and re-downloaded Wuthering Waves, just to see how it was looking, since it had been months since I last played it. I didn't expect to love the new update as much as I did. For the first time, a gacha game didn't feel like complete torture. The great gacha exhaustion I felt before was gone, and it all came down to WoWa distancing itself from its once successful but now homeless big brother. Rinashita made Wuthering Waves feel like a completely different game. It corrected mistakes it made in Huanlong and introduced new things that Genshin could never. I'm still flabbergasted with the fact we only have 5 playable Rinashita characters. While many would like to have more, this is really an absolute win. Less characters means it's less likely for them to be forgotten, and it's more likely for each to have better characterization, which makes each character feel like an actual person and not a cardboard cutout. The story feels shorter, to the point, and with no filler. The devs managed to tell a lot in a very short time. This is not easy to do, otherwise every gacha would have 10 out of 10 Tarantino dialogue. The devs thankfully still listen to the players, and they finally made it so that the game saves your account and doesn't force you to log in every time you want to play. Unfortunately, as far as I know, there still aren't any birthday gifts. I'm still bitter about that. The OST wasn't bad in Huanlong, and to this day I feel nostalgic, weirdly enough, when I listen to the Sea of Flames soundtrack. But for the most part, the Huanlong OST is uninspiring. However, Rinashita truly made its music playlist worthy. The kind that calms the voices when you're on a long drive and prevents you from throwing yourself off the road. I'm very excited to say that Wuthering Waves has the potential to revolutionize the gacha game industry with promises they can actually keep. Wuthering Waves really is a game first and gacha second. But of course, WoWa still has many problems. The characters still speak like they're reading out of a dictionary. It has tropes that make some story elements feel predictable. And how can we forget the flashy animation that doesn't let you see what's happening on screen? How did they do it? How did Kuro Games save their own game? It all comes down to inspiration. While the first version was heavily inspired by Genshin Impact, version 2.0 looks up to Elden Ring instead. It sounds like a simple thing, but it proves an important point. Genshin Impact is not a good game. It shouldn't be seen as an inspiration to other game devs, unless they take it as a guidebook for what not to do. Committing the same mistakes can and has been fatal to many other gachas. At the same time, it's also important for the fanbase to not get lazy, to speak up if the devs do something they don't like even if it seems insignificant, like wanting an uncensored version for global to bring back Cantarella's and Fleur de Lis' original model. The day a fan base falls into the "it's better than nothing" philosophy is the day the game devs can feel free to take advantage of the players. This proves that the great gacha exhaustion is not the fate of every gacha. The sooner we leave the Genshin nightmare behind, the more like games gachas are going to feel.